Hi everyone, Flaming Footy here and welcome back to a new video on the channel. And today guys, I'm going to be continuing my 3-game match reviews for the AFL 2023 AFL season. And in today's video, I'm going to be reviewing the last 3 games of round 1. And those games are GWS VS Adelaide, Hawthorn VS Essendon and St Kilda VS Fremantle. So the first game that played out was a high-scoring contest at Giants Stadium to start off Sunday's action of footy, and it was Giants and the Crows. And GWS 15-16, 106, overturned a deficit to beat the Crows 12-19, 90 in the end. And it was a great third quarter from the Giants, which sparked the comeback, and they finished off the job in the last quarter. Now, the Adelaide Crows were very disappointing. They should have won the game, and they should have won it pretty comfortably. 4-9 at quarter time, 8-12 at half time, 10-16 at three-quarter time. They had their chances to be well and truly ahead, and then 12-18 at full time. They did actually have their chances, and they missed a couple of really easy shots on goal as well. So, definitely disappointing for the Crows that they couldn't capitalise on their chances. The Giants, on the other hand, they also were inaccurate, but still kicking goals as well. Meanwhile, the Crows seemed to be missing every shot they had. But yeah, the Giants, it was all off the back of that third quarter. They kicked 4 goals in a row to get them going, and then including another 2 late in the quarter. Even though the Crows led at three-quarter time, the Giants actually had the much better quarter than in the last quarter. They sealed the deal with their win. Let's see some of the best players on the ground. Tom Green, 37 disposals. That's a big number. Toby Green, 4 goals, 128 fantasy for Tom Green as well. And Brent Daniels, 5 tackles. Haven't seen him in a long time playing footy, or at least it feels like that anyway. So, Tom Green and Toby Green, 128 and 118 fantasy. Both the best on the ground. Josh Shelley, 105 fantasy. He ended up kicking 3 goals, having 18 disposals. Sharing his time split from the middle and the forward line. Cornelio, 104 fantasy. Ward, 95. And Keys, 95. The brand new Crows captain, Jordan Dawson, 92. 91 for Kelly and O'Brien. And 87 for Isaac Rankin. Goals behinds, 4 goals, 4 for Green. He was their main target inside 50, and he really probably should have also had 6 goals next to his name quite comfortably. And the Giants probably also, you could stake the claim, could have won by more as well. Every time they went inside the 50 and he had the ball, he was going to do something damaging with it. He didn't quite get to his full capacity today, but for other teams though that are going to play, and Toby Green's going to be in that forward line, he's going to be their main entry point, so definitely watch out. Jesse Hogan, 3 goals, 1 was another tool target down there as well. Joshua Shelley, 3 goals, 1 was good for the Crows. And Isaac Rankin, 2 goals, 5. Same as the Toby Green sort of thing. Another great target to send to inside 50. But again, didn't quite get up to his full damaging potential. But again, though, for teams in the future, if Isaac Rankin can get going, the Crows could be very dangerous. Brent Daniels, 2 goals, 1. Darcy Fogarty, 2 goals as well. And again, players like Ward and Walker had inaccurate days, and Laird, although he actually didn't do too well in front of the goals. He got 2 behinds, but they did look pretty comfortable behinds as well. So, Tom Green, 37 disposals, 32 for Cornelio, 31 for Ward, 26 for Kelly, 25 for Callaghan. Look at that. All Giants numbers. The highest disposal getter for the Crows was 23 for Dawson, 21 for Keys, and 20 for Duday. Toby Green was good with his 19 disposals as well, but yeah, it was definitely Giants that ended up feasting on the ball later on. Tackles, 5 for Daniels, 4 for Peatling, Green, Lloyd, Green, Rochelle, and Duday. Hit-outs now, 33 for O'Brien, 25 for Flynn, 4 for Himmelberg, 3 for Walker, 2 for Hogan, 1 for Riccardi. So now I'm going to go to team stats. Disposals, there was more for the Giants. Giants often go by handball more, but if you can get that fast handball flowing footy going, you will be tough to beat. And I reckon they would have changed up that game plan in that third quarter. 60-52 inside 50s, it was a close game in that area, but do keep in mind it was absolutely boiling hot out there as well. It was like 37 out there on the ground, and when you're playing footy and you're getting warm by doing that as well, it would have felt like 40 pretty comfortably. So 28-40 hit-outs in favour of the Crows, but the clearances were the Giants 35-33, 16-14 out of the centre in favour of the Giants, 19 all stoppage clearances. The Giants had more contested and uncontested footy. More marks going the Crows, marks inside 50, 16-15. So both teams probably lack of defence I feel like there were definitely times where both sides did lack their defence. That's what can give you a high-scoring game as well. A couple of poor defences give you a high-scoring game. Crows did spend most of the time in front, and the Crows actually should have won. They really should have won 18-0. Tackles inside 50, but the Crows should have won this game. They should have had it locked away a lot earlier than they did. The door was left ajar for the Giants, and they capitalised on their opportunities. Alright, now time for the next game. Hawthorn VS Essendon, the MCG. Hawthorn 9-11-65. Essendon 19-10, 124. Essendon absolutely smashed Hawthorn in a game where I wasn't sure how this was going to go down, and a lot of people weren't sure how this was going to go down. And some people saw this being game of the round after the result. Probably not. But the Hawks were good in that first quarter. 4 goals, 5 to 3 goals, 1. And again, you can say inaccuracy probably did let them a little bit loose that quarter. They probably could have been up by 3 goals at quarter time and actually put some pressure on the Bombers. In the second quarter, they only kick 1 goal. Bombers kick 5, and the Bombers get out to a good lead at half time. And then it's a scoreless quarter, well, a goalless quarter for the Hawks. In the third quarter, the Bombers kick away. They kick 6 goals, 3 to just 2 behinds, and that is when, at 3-quarter time, they have well and truly won the game by then. They lead by 50, about 50, and the game is over. And then, they just continue in the last quarter. They kick 5 goals to 4, but the Hawks get 2 back late just to avoid utter embarrassment. 37 disposals for Parrish, 3 goals for Perkins and Bruce. 130 fantasy for Sicily, 6 tackles for Will Setterfield. The Bombers, they just had scoring coming from everywhere. All their players chipped in. So 130 fantasies, we know, for Sicily, 122 for Setterfield, 107 for Parrish and Merritt, 104 for Redmond and Perkins, 102 for Hardwick and Ward, 98 for Day, 96 for Warple. Goals behind, 3 goals, 3 for Perkins. So again, he probably could have capitalised a little bit more, but 3 goals, 3 for Perkins, 3 goals for Bruce, 2 goals for Wiedemann, Menzies, Hardwick, Redmond and Draper. And then, there was lots of just 1-goal scorers, but I do want to pick out a couple. Don Tip and Woody. First goal back in the game for him. Jordan Ridley, first goal in his career. Will Setterfield, first goal for his brand new club. And Davey Jr., Alwyn Davey Jr., kicks a goal on his debut just before halftime as well. 37 disposals for Parrish, 30 for Sicily, 29 for Warple, 29 for Merritt, 26 for Ward, 25 for Setterfield and McGrath. Josh Ward, we know last year was his first in the AFL. He looks to be a prolific ball getter now. I think he's going to be great for the Hawks, and he's going to be one of those big leaders during this rebuild, because you can pretty comfortably tell they're going under a rebuild. 6 tackles for Setterfield, 5 for Hardwick, 18 hit-outs for Reeves, 12 for Meek, 11 for Draper, 9 for Phillips. We just see that Draper was beaten by Reeves and Meek, but they rolled with Meek, which they got him from Fremantle. Tons more of the footy for the Bombers. That they had that stat nearly by plus 50. Way more inside 50s, 49 to 66. So they pretty comfortably won that stat as well. Hit outs 30 to 20, but clearances 26 to 32. Centre clearances were locked, but it was a stoppage clearances where the Bombers got it away. Not much else. 8 to 16 marks inside 50. Probably just a lack of defence for the Hawks. And the Bombers spent most of the game in front. They definitely did deserve to win it, especially after that third quarter. Now, just before I do move on to the next game, though, the Hawks, if we go back to the player stats here, and if we have a little look at the Hawks player stats, goals behind. So, these were their goal scorers today. Bruce, Hardwick, Wingard, Amon, Green, Jaff. That's it. Out of their 9 goals, 3 come from Bruce and 2 come from Hardwick, and that is it. With Mitchell in the side and Moore in the side, yes, but if you see players like Fergus Green, the only other noted forward in this team, 1 goal, Kaczynski doesn't get any chances, and Moore 0-0 for the game. Not sure whether they're going to move him into a midfield role. It does look worrying. I wonder how the Hawks are going to score this year. I'm just not quite sure. There's going to be games where they will get some great scores, but yeah, at the moment, after this game, it does leave a couple of question marks over their head, I reckon. The final game of the round was an absolute thriller. I streamed this game as well, so yeah, I'm going to be doing some streams this year for the AFL season. It went really well. But this was a cracking game. Watched it. Cracking game. St Kilda versus Fremantle. St Kilda 10-7-67. Beat the Dockers 7-10, 52. St Kilda by 15. It was a cracking contest for the entire game. So yeah, it was the Saints by 15. Ross Lyon, in his second return to the Saints, their 150th year in coaching. He used to help coach for the Dockers. So he was Saints, then Dockers, then back to the Saints. And what a way to get his new coaching second slate off to a start for the Saints by beating his former club by 15 points. This was a really cracking game as well. It never got boring, which some people thought this game was going to be boring. It never got out to a big margin. It was a really close, defensively minded game. There was lots of defensive moments, and I'll talk about Brennan Cox in a moment. But the first quarter was a great quarter. Both teams, again, just being contested and scrappy. This was probably the highest scoring quarter we had, 21-13 at the first break. In the second quarter, that is where the Dockers started to gain a little bit of momentum. They did miss a couple shots, but they also got given a couple 50-metre penalties over the course of this game, which really shouldn't have happened. But yeah, and then the third quarter, that was the quarter that the Dockers owned the game. They just, at this stage here, when they go up by 2 goals, they just looked to have the game on their terms and looked like they could start to take this out to what could be a bigger win. However, no, the Saints just respond with one back, and it's just a goal of difference at 3-quarter time. And then in the last quarter, 1, 2, 3, 4 Saints goals in a row to 4 Dockers behinds. You do ask, you question. There was a couple of shots there which probably should have gone through for the Dockers, and those could have been game defining in the end. And yeah, the Saints run away with the win, which was an absolute cracking win. Right, Luke Ryan, 37 disposals, 2 goals for Mason Wood, and I tell you, those Mason Wood goals were 2 critical goals. I'm pretty sure they were both in the last quarter, but they were 2 massive goals. 2 for Gresham, 2 for Owens, 2 for Schultz. Owens had a great game, 156 fantasy for Ryan, who also had a great game. 7 tackles for Brayshaw and Bytel. Right, we're going to go over some plays. Ryan Burns had a really good game for the Dockers. For the Saints, but look at this, Dockers, but it's all their main defence players. 156 fantasy for Ryan, 141 for Cox, 118 for Young, 114 for Brayshaw, 104 for Darcy, 103 for Clark, 102 for Steele, 99 for Wood. He is one that doesn't get talking. He doesn't get talked about, even if he has a good game. Mason Wood, 94 for Burns, who was impressive. And Crouch and Sinclair were really good as well, 90, 86, and then 86 for Sukowski, 85 for Chapman, 83 for Bytel, who was good. Hill was good, Stocker was good. I thought Ace and Owens were really good as well. Wilson was good at times, so was Pierce. O'Meara was good, Schultz was good, and yeah, a couple of players which I want to talk about right there. Wanganeen, Miller, Frederick, and Hunter Clark. Those 3 also had really good games as well. So this was more of a defensively minded game as well. Your defence had to be up to the task if you wanted to win this game. And both these teams' defence actually, even though, the Dockers have a great defence, and even though the Saints' defence might not be as big star-studded as you'd think, their defence still held up perfectly well, because the forward lines are probably the issues of these two sides, so it was a very big defensively minded game, hence the low scoring. 2 goals for Wood, Gresham, Owen, Schultz, Schultz was the only Fremantle multiple scorer, which does start raising some question marks as well. So, Luke Bryan, 37 disposals, 30 for Cox, 30 for Young, 29 for Sarong, 28 for Steele and Clark, 27 for Burns, who had a really good game, 26 for Sinclair and Brayshaw. Right, now I'm going to go to marks this time because there is a big stat which I do want to talk about here. Brennan Cox, 20 marks, a career best. Plenty of those being intercepts. 13 marks for Ryan and Young, 11 for Clark, 9 for Stocker, 8 for Pierce and Chapman, 8 for Wilson. You can see that's a lot of their defensive players taking lots of marks. They took so many more marks than these Saints, which we'll be having a look at that in a moment. 7 tackles for Bytel and Brayshaw. 38 hitouts for Darcy, 17 for Marshall, 7 for Jackson, 1 for Kaminti. You actually played a decent game on debut, and 1 for Cordy. Right, now team stats. They had more footy, not a heap more, but more footy. They went inside 50, 12 more times, the Dockers, but couldn't quite capitalise when they went in. I thought they were in there a lot, but just couldn't capitalise. They won the hit-outs by quite a margin, the Dockers. However, clearances, 35-29, 9-8 centre, 26-21 stoppage in favour of the Saints. The Dockers, we do know they love uncontested footy. They had 51 more uncontested footy than the Saints. They took way more marks, 87 to 136, 7 to 14 of them being contested in favour of the Dockers as well. That was just amazing stuff. Time in front, it was a very even split. And I feel like, the team that ran away with it in the last quarter deserved the win. It was the Saints in the end, but this was just an absolute cracking game of footy. So ladder after round 1, the Bombers are on top on percentage. Sydney 2nd, D's 3rd, Port Adelaide 4th, St Kilda 5th, Collingwood 6th, GWS 7th, North Melbourne 8th, Carlton and Richmond 9th and 10th after that draw. And then West Coast, Adelaide, Geelong, Fremantle, Brisbane, Western Bulldogs, Gold Coast and Hawthorn. We had a cracking round of footy in round 1. Here are all the results, and we're going to go ahead and just have a little look at round 2. I'll do the outro. Thank you guys, all so much for watching. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe and hit that notification bell so then you guys will never miss another video on the channel. Thank you guys, all so much for watching. Bye everyone, Flame Footy out.